Francisco to Milwaukee and now St. Louis. That's where this road trip has taken the Reds, and so far they've won 3, they've lost 3. This is the beginning of the final 3-game series of the year between these two clubs, the Reds and the Cardinals, here on Fox Sports Ohio. And hi, and a pleasant good evening, everyone. Along with Chris Welsh and Jim Day, I'm Jim Kelch, and welcome, as always, to Reds baseball. Well, tonight it's the Reds and the Cardinals, game 1 of this 3-game series. And, Chris, the Reds have actually been playing very well against this Cardinal club as of late, and actually have a chance to win the season series against this team this year.
For a long time, it seemed like the Cardinals were just using the Reds as their personal beatdown, but no longer is that the case because the Reds have turned the tide a little ways anyway on the Cardinals. They've won 6 of the last 9 games. Even though the Cardinals did win 6 of the first 7 that they played, they've turned things around a little bit, and it was in July the 27th, 28th, and 29th when they turned it around well there as well, when they won 3 out of 4. In fact, John Lamb was on the mound during one of those games.
Well, the Reds will get this Cardinal club here tonight, and in fact in this series, without the services of their all-star catcher Yadier Molina, hurt Chris yesterday in Chicago.
Well, you know, Yadier Molina is always on my short list for MVP of the year. I don't care whether the guy hits 245 in a year. What he means to this Cardinal ball club just cannot be overstated. The throw comes in from the outfield on the money, and the swipe tag there by Yadier Molina got his left wrist right in the way of the runner. It got bent back, and it tore a ligament in his thumb. Now, it's not as bad as it was last year when he had surgery. He's going to sit back. They actually got pretty good news out of Molina today, but it's going to be a while before he gets back in the lineup, and he probably won't be able to do much until very close to the end of the year.
Yeah, they examined him today. He'll be re-examined in a week, and they hope, of course, for good things for Yadier Molina. All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, a look at the pitchers for tonight's game. A couple of left-handers. John Lamb on the mound for the Reds, and Jaime Garcia for St. Louis. Baseball on Fox Sports Ohio is brought to you by Cincinnati USA Regional Tourism Network. Stay close to CincinnatiUSA.com. By Chevy. Check out their award-winning lineup only at your Tri-State Chevy dealer. And by Skyline Chili. Feeling good. It's Skyline time. Lefties on the mound tonight for Cincinnati. For the Reds, John Lamb will go. He had his first big league win his last time against his Cardinal club.
Well, he did it in kind of an unusual fashion. He went 5 innings, as you see, and he struck out 6, but he also walked 6. Somehow he threw a shutout over those 5 innings. In fact, the Reds ended up shutting out the Cardinals in that ball game and won 11-0. And it was, by the way, the same matchup that we have tonight. John Lamb and Jaime Garcia, a couple left-handers going at it against each other. And Jaime Garcia, although not great the last couple of times out, you wonder if maybe he's beginning to get a little fatigued. He's much better at home than he is on the road. You see the starts that he's had against the Reds. But he's a guy that when he's right, he's down in the zone, a lot of movement on his pitches, really tight slider, and he keeps the ball in the ballpark. Does not give up very many home runs at all this year.
Now the Reds beat Garcia twice in 6 years. Coming into this year, they've beaten him twice this year. All right, we'll step aside. Jim Day, when we come back, talks more about Votto-matic.
Jim Day on the field just outside of the Reds dugout. It's been a pleasure to watch Joey Votto, especially during the second half of the season. His numbers in his season are reaching the incredible mark. Check out our IGS Bringing the Energy, and he has certainly been doing that. Joey Votto has reached base safely in 37 straight games. That is a season high. You look at his numbers over that stretch. He has walked 135 times. That ties his 2013 team record. And 295 times he has reached base. That is 21 shy of his 2013 record. So he's got a chance to eclipse that as well. Now, you would think normally with a left-handed hitter, when you're facing a left-handed starter, you'd be like, oh no, unless you're Joey Votto. He'll face Jaime Garcia tonight, but this season, a perfect 4 for 4. A double, a home run, and 4 runs driven in. So Votto, it doesn't matter who's on the hill. He's Votto-matic. Reds need him tonight. And they need another left-hander to continue his strong finish to the season. We're talking Jay Bruce and more when we come back.
Cincinnati Reds. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cincinnati Reds.
Gorgeous shot right there. Here in St. Louis, Jay Bruce, a couple of gorgeous home runs. 2 second deck jobs yesterday in Milwaukee. Home runs 23 and 24 on the season. He's now 8th on the Reds' all-time home run list. And he's one of 9 players, including his teammate Todd Frazier, with 33 doubles, now 24 home runs and 82 runs driven in. He's looking to continue his hot season ending. The Reds are looking for their, believe it or not, 3rd straight shutout of the Cardinals here in St. Louis. It's true. And they do it. We'll find out together.
Cardinals going one direction, trying to clinch the National League Central Division. The Reds right now with 2 weeks to go, trying to win as many games as they can. Currently 63 is their win total for this 2015 season. Brian Price, he'll put out a lineup card that looks like this tonight, brought to you by Meyer. Jason Bourgeois back in the leadoff spot. He's out in center field. Eugenio Suarez in the number 2 spot. Joey Votto third. It's Phillips, Frazier, Bruce in the middle of the lineup. Adam Duvall gets a start in left field. Ramon Cabrera behind the plate catching John Lamb. And the Reds face for the 3rd time this year Jaime Garcia.
He's only 29 years old, and yet he, after 51 wins and 31 losses, 20 games over 500. So he's battled through a lot of injuries in his career. Garcia has, but when he pitches and he pitches healthy, his team normally wins. Having another very good year this year, although it a little bit shortened by injury to start.
Bourgeois takes the first pitch strike, and we are underway. Yeah, Garcia wasn't activated until the second half of May.
He's a guy that has had a number of different injuries. One, an injury to his elbow and an injury to his shoulder. And it's always the shoulder injury that is more problematic. But if you see his arm swing, he's got a very abbreviated arm swing. It almost short arms the ball up there, trying to protect that shoulder. But he has tremendous movement. As you see right there, he's got a good changeup, a good slider. Both of them have depth, which means they go straight down, and he gets a lot of ground balls.
Gets ahead of Bourgeois, ball and 2 strikes. Jason comes in at 242 overall. But a nice line against Garcia career-wise. 6 hits, 15 at-bats. Out of the lineup for the Reds yesterday, but back in there today in center field and in the leadoff spot. Yesterday it was Ryan Lamar in the leadoff spot and in center. We saw him, Chris, go down with that hamstring strain late in the game. So players keep falling on this Reds team.
That's a real shame from a personal standpoint for Lamar. And that's a good at bat to get it going for Bourgeois.
Don't know if Lamar's going to be out for an extended period of time. They'll just take it, I guess, day by day to see how he responds, much like they've done with Pena.
I mean, you have to be at the right place at the right time. That's part of getting your opportunity. The other part, of course, is being healthy and producing. And there aren't many teams out there that are like the Reds right now that are having essentially an open audition at a lot of different positions. And hopefully Lamar will be able to play a fair amount between now and the end of the year to show the Reds what he's got.
Here now is Eugenio Suarez. He is one of any number of players that Ryan Price has tried in the number 2 spot in the batting order this year. Plus 300 in the month of September and 286 overall. He brings a 5-game hitting streak into this game.
Garcia does not give up much in the way of stolen bases. But of course, when you're talking about any pitcher on the Cardinal team and stolen bases, that revolves around Yadier Molina, which is no longer the case behind the plate. Tony Cruz will get the bulk of the catching time.
Tony Randazzo calling the balls and strikes in this game. Jerry Davis is the crew chief at first. Phil Cuzzi at second. Gabe Morales is over at third. You're talking about Jaime Garcia. You're talking about one of the best ground ball pitchers in the league when he's on, aren't you?
Everything down around the knees. He never really is one of those pitchers that goes up to try to get a strikeout. When he gets his strikeouts, they're normally down and in on right-handers with sliders or down and away with a changeup. Now that's an off-the-chart percentage of ground balls right there. I mean, if you're over 50%, you're considered a ground ball pitcher.
The high strike taken by Suarez, and he says something there to Tony Randazzo about it.
Looks like the Reds' strategy tonight is to be very patient with Garcia. Bourgeois wasn't up there being very aggressive. And I can see why Suarez took a second look at that one.
Well, you mentioned it, Chris. His last couple of outings, he's given up 10 runs total. His last 4 outings, 14 runs allowed, and one of those was a no-run performance against the Pirates. He's been struggling a little bit lately.
Well, the last time he pitched was against the Milwaukee Brewers. He gave up 4 runs, and the line looks a lot worse than it really should have been. Comes back to get a strikeout on that breaking ball. That's a slider we were talking about. Very effective. Down and in. Looks like a fastball. The bottom drops out. I don't really think they're worried about Garcia, except maybe from a fatigue standpoint. His last start against the Brewers, 6 1/3, 4 runs, but 4 of those all came in 1 inning, and 3 of them came on 1 swing of the bat, a 3-run homer. So sometimes you have to pitch around a mistake. It happens to the best of them.
Garcia gets a win tonight. He would be one of 5 Cardinal starters with double-figure win total. They have Michael Wacha leading away with 16. Carlos Martinez won his 14th game yesterday against the Cubs. John Lackey, whom we'll see tomorrow, with 12. Lance Lynn with 11. And no doubt, pitching has been the strong suit of this team all year.
Well, you just look at the run differential and the runs given up by the Cardinals this year. Really terrific. They've given up about 120 fewer runs this year than last year. Not at this point throughout the whole season, but certainly they're on the trend to be way better from a defensive standpoint as far as giving up runs. There's a couple of your starters right there, John Lackey and Martinez.
And the Cardinals have given up the fewest runs from their pitching staff this year in the major leagues. They have the best ERA overall in the major leagues. It is the thing that has been carrying them through this 15 baseball season.
Well, they have 4 good starters, as you said, and then they turn over to bullpen. It's awfully good. Now, Votto has a little streak against Garcia. He's 4 for 4 his last 4. A home run, a double, and a couple of walks included in that.
It's bounced away. Bourgeois takes off. Bourgeois is safe at second base. It didn't appear as if he was taking off prior to that ball bouncing away. And that does go down as a wild pitch. As soon as it bounced away from Cruz, Bourgeois heads up, took off. Wild pitch on Garcia, and a runner in scoring position. Into left, base hit. Bourgeois had to wait to make sure it cleared the shortstop, Johnny Peralta. He's able to advance only to third, but Joey Votto comes through, and he is on base again, and that is now 38 straight games in which he has reached.
Guy's really unbelievable. I mean, he simply doesn't make outs. From our standpoint, it looked immediately like it was going to be a base hit, but maybe not so from where Bourgeois was standing. He wasn't sure whether Peralta was going to get to that ball. Of course, if he had, he would have been a dead duck at third base. So now a chance for the Reds and Brandon Phillips, who always is greeted warmly here at Busch Stadium.
Yeah, that was a warm greeting he got, relatively speaking. Brandon, the top hitter with runners in scoring position on this club. 293 overall, 308. Runners in scoring position.
Yeah, by warm greeting you mean that only half the people booed?
Exactly.
I think Brandon loves that, though. I mean, at least they know he's here. And believe me, if he was wearing a Cardinal uniform, I can't imagine that, but if he was, they would love him.
Bourgeois walks to start the game. Suarez struck out. Bourgeois went to second on a wild pitch with Votto at the dish, and then Joey singled in the left. So the Reds have them at the corners with one out, trying to break through first here in the first. Down the right field line, that's going to fall for a hit. Another hit with runners in scoring position for Phillips. Bourgeois touches the plate, and the Reds take a 1-0 lead. Phillips' 66th RBI.
You know, you look at the Reds lineup and you think, well, why is Brandon Phillips batting fourth? Why wouldn't you put Jay Bruce in there? I mean, big, strapping, left-handed hitter. But it doesn't matter how you do it. And Brandon has used that right field this year more than he ever has, especially earlier in the count. He used to do that only with 2 strikes, but he has opened up the whole field, a field of dreams for Brandon as he drives a run in here in St. Louis.
Yeah, you've talked a lot about his approach as you see it this year, and he did it the other night against Milwaukee. He does it here. There's another wild pitch by Garcia, gets away from Cruz. Runners move up.
Very sloppy so far. Cruz went after that ball like he wasn't expecting a slider. He didn't get to move his body. It was too far to do that, but he just kind of reached out. You know, this could be, and you never really know. You know, total speculation. You know, they lost Yadier Molina last year for an extended time as he had thumb surgery, very similar to what Brandon Phillips had. And they still a really good ball club, obviously. They went to the NLCS. But losing Molina, I mean, it is more than just what you lose on the field. It's what you lose in swagger. It's what you lose in baseball acumen when you take the field. You have a general on the field looking at everybody else when you have Molina. I mean, he's the ideal catcher for any major league ball club. And This pitching staff is experienced enough certainly to overcome that, but it may have a hiccup.
That's a big out there recorded by Garcia. A strikeout of Frazier. So with 2 on, 2 out. That's the last Jay Bruce to get it done. Take a look at the Cardinals' defensive setup, brought to you by your Ford dealers. Randall Grichuk, who has a hard time throwing, is out in left field due to a shoulder problem. Tommy Pham is in center. Jason Hayward, the big play yesterday in Chicago, is out in right. Carpenter, Peralta, Wong, and Piscotty across the infield. Cruz catches Jaime Garcia. Cruz starts the day at 233. 24 home runs. 2 of them came yesterday, marking the 17th multi-home run game of his career. Sitting now at 82 runs batted in.
Well, against Jaime Garcia, and Brandon Phillips has faced Garcia more than anybody on the Reds. Bruce has faced him second most. And Bruce is hitting 220 with a home run and 4 ribbies off him. A couple more sitting out there.
Started to go. They'll look to third, and Gabe Morales says no. Jay did not go around. Reds currently sitting at 3 wins, 3 losses in the first 6 games of this road trip. 4 home runs on the trip thus far. And he'll float one out to right, but Hayward is there to retire the side. But the Reds get a run on a base hit by Phillips. John Lamb to the mound, 1-0 Reds.
It can get rough, you know, out there, lonely spot on the mound when things are just spiraling out of control, snowballing or whatnot. And for me, it's just throwing strikes and quality strikes, of course, not to sound cliche, but just keeping it simple in my mind and being able to, you know, stay in the moment. And it's something I feel like I've been continuously learning. And now it's just, you know, under the spotlight or here at this level, it's very important pitch to pitch to keep our team in a game.
Tonight's storyline's brought to you by Elk and Elk. And you hear John Lamb talking about his approach out there. And, you know, he has but one quality start in the 7 he has made with the Reds. And he hasn't had a game that has just been a terrible game. But on the other side of things, Chris, he hasn't had a game that's been just a stellar game either.
Well, he's shown bits and pieces of brilliance and also bits and pieces of being a rookie and going to have a rough time figuring what it is out of here. Big thing for him is throwing strikes, getting ahead of the hitters, and being aggressive out there.
He gets Carpenter, Pham, and Hayward here in the first inning. I mean, he was walking a tightrope the last time he faced the Cardinals, wasn't he?
Well, he walked 6, and that's the reason why. Anytime you got 6 bases on balls in a 5-inning period, you're going to be pitching out of the stretch an awful lot. But he also has to know that guys like Carpenter, they're really not in a hurry to make a decision in their at bat. So you have to remember where you are all the time, and that's sometimes a hard thing to do for a rookie because you get caught up in the speed of the game and the fact that the crowd is into it, and you're pitching in Busch Stadium in front of a full house. I mean, throwing strikes, especially to their leadoff hitter, is the most important thing he can do to start the game off.
Well, there's a 2-2 to Carpenter, hitting .264, a career best 24 home runs this year. And he gets him on strike, so a good start for the 25-year-old lefter out of La Palma, California, John Lamb.
You know, one of the things I like about Lamb is the fact that he pitches from the first base side of the pitching rubber, and that gives him a better angle against left-handed hitters especially. It's more of a crossfire motion, even though he really doesn't throw across his body. And you can only do that if you really make a habit of staying back over the rubber and driving on a straight line to your spot. And he's pretty good at that.
Gets the center fielder now, Tommy Pham. Boy, they've gone through some center fielders. John Jay has missed an extraordinary amount of time this year. He's back now, but not playing much at all. They've had Randall Grichuk out there. He can't throw out in center field. Now they have Tommy Pham out there. They've had Peter Borges, but Peter Borges, quite frankly, just cannot hit. So they're looking for offense. So they go to Pham, who's hitting .272 in 41 games with 5 home runs. And he is called out on strikes. A 4-pitch punch out there by Lamb, and he's gotten the first 2. One swinging, one looking. Take a look at the Reds defensively, brought to you by your Ford dealers. They line up like this behind John Lamb tonight. Duvall, Bourgeois, and Bruce across the outfield. Frazier, Suarez left side. Phillips, Votto right side. A battery of Lamb and Ramon Cabrera, who saw a lot of action. Did Cabrera in San Francisco, saw 0 action in Milwaukee, and back there tonight with Lamb on the mound. Here's Jason Hayward. Suarez will throw him out, and a good start for Lamb. A 1-2-3 first against the Cardinals. as $12. Arrive early, be one of the first 25,000 fans. You receive a commemorative All-Star Game figurine presented by your Tri-State Chevy dealers. For tickets, 513-381-REDS. Select Kroger locations. You can go there or reds.com/tickets. Ryan Price's club gunning for the sweep yesterday in Milwaukee and had the early lead in that game 2-0 in the fifth, but ended up falling 8-4. They try to continue a stretch against the Cardinals that has turned out pretty well. They won 2 of 3 here at the end of July. They won 3 of 4 in the series during the homestand prior to this road trip. So they've won 5 of the last 7 against this St. Louis club. They'll need to sweep this series in order to win the season series. It's currently 9-7 in favor of St. Louis.
Well, Brian Price has got to love the way things are off to a roaring start right now, even though the score is only 1-0. I mean, his pitcher has thrown about half the number of pitches that the Cardinals hurler has. Jaime Garcia looks like he's got iffy control on the night. At least he's not attacking the zone, and Lamb's gone right after him. And they've got a catcher back there that's boxing about every third pitch.
Well, he mentioned the fact in his media scrum prior to the game, he likes the way, as you mentioned, this team is playing. They're 9-9 in the month of September and already have won more games than they won in the month of August when they had that dismal 8-21 mark.
That is a good number, that 14.4 pitches per inning. I mean, that's a guy that comes right after the hitters, and he's not showing that tonight.
Nice pick by Carpenter. That ball looked like it was by him. He throws out Duvall at first base.
Well, we've seen Duvall hit the ball hard. I mean, when he puts the ball in play, it usually has solid contact. And Carpenter robs him there.
The batter will be Ramon Cabrera. MVP at the AAA Louisville club this year. Had a heck of a series out in San Francisco. Start he made out there. He went 4 for 4. And then the next night came off the bench, had a pinch hit 2-run single. So he got off to a good start on this trip. And then, as I mentioned, did not see any action in Milwaukee. The second out here at the inning. So 2 quick outs. And now one pitcher gets another. John Lamb will step up there. Lamb 0 for 13 in the big leagues, 0 for 13 as a hitter in his professional career. And 2 quick strikes on John. Cardinals start a 7-game homestand here tonight against the Reds. They have 7 straight games as they try to zero in on the National League Central title. They have a magic number of 10 over the Pirates. Lamb strikes out. We'll talk more about that stretch of games they have coming up when we come back in the bottom of the second.
Day. Yesterday was the annual rookie dress-up day. And there was another theme this year. It was a wedding, complete with a bride and bridesmaids. Check out the bride. That would be Michael Lorenzen. Brandon Phillips just making a cameo in the middle. And Raisel Iglesias on screen right was one of your bridesmaids. There were different colors to those dresses. Ramon Cabrera and Kiva Sampson posing with Todd Frazier. That is Ryan Lamar right after a hamstring injury. And tonight's pitcher, John Lamb. We're going to go back to this, boys, because this is priceless. There he is, an adorable bridesmaid. Now, I asked the bride, Michael Lorenzen, who was the groom? He said he was stood up at the altar. The groom never showed up.
Well, I want to know, did John Lamb get his hair done specially for that outfit or for the big day?
I don't think he did.
He looked like it.
Well, maybe he did. Maybe it was very special.
He's got all the curls working.
It's worth another look.
I think the tattoos really set it off.
Well, no doubt.
And the nice smile. He's kind of got like a look on his face like a pretty bridesmaid.
You know, one thing that you notice when these guys are walking around in sleeveless outfits, they are pumped. I mean, these guys nowadays, man, they hit the weight room and they have some serious pipes.
Hey, you've been around now the game a long time. You've seen a lot of rookie dress-up days. Does this one rank up near the top?
I like the whole theme because it kind of blended, the whole team concept together.
Bonding,
you know,
if you will.
Yeah, the bride and all the bridesmaids and so on. I thought it was pretty cool, including a flower girl, which we didn't get a picture of. I hope we'll find one. I still have rookie dress-up days from the days of Aaron Boone and Pete Rose Jr.
On your phone?
Well, not on my phone, but on a flash drive somewhere, I'm sure.
How about that? Hey, you're talking about the flower girl. I think we may have found a picture.
There's Bo.
There's Bo. Bo is resplendent in that white number. Bruce chasing. Bruce on the run. Bruce got there. Nicely done against Stephen Piscotty. And the first two have been set down here in the bottom of the second. A strikeout of Peralta. And that nice running catch by Bruce into the right field corner. Two down here, 5 faced, 5 retired by John Lamb. And he gets the left fielder now, Randall Grichuk. Grichuk at 283 with 16 home runs. He's part of that deal a couple of years ago involving the Angels and the Cardinals. Brought he and Peter Borges over here, sent David Freese, among others, over to the Angels. Freese, the local fellow, grew up in the St. Louis area. World Series hero. Lamb gets ahead. And he got him on strikes. Chasing off, speed pitch in the dirt. A couple of strikeouts in this inning. 4 so far total for Lamb. Reds move to America, his baseball idols, and the keys to his success this season. Plus, Paul O'Neill reacts to his Reds bobblehead that was given out at the Reds Hall of Fame. Don't miss an all-new Reds Weekly hosted by Jeff Pecoro and Doug Flynn Wednesday at 6 right here on Fox Sports Ohio.
So, Jim, we didn't do the Flower Girl much justice. It was Bo Thompson. Bo Thompson is one of the baseball analysts that has just begun to travel around with the Reds in September, but he's been around since, I think, named last November, the same day that Kevin Towers was hired on. They brought on Bo Thompson to do some of the number crunching behind the scenes.
Solid contact there by Bourgeois, but up the ladder to get it, Peralta. 1 pitch, 1 out. So since 3 of the first 4 reached for the Reds against Garcia, he's now set down 6 in a row.
Yeah, but he's also given up some hard hit balls. That was a dandy defensive play Carpenter put on Duvall on a shot. That was a line drive right there. So even the outs haven't been all that easy, except for John Lamb, the pitcher, striking out. And if you notice where Jaime Garcia pitches on the pitching rubber compared to John Lamb, he is way over on the third base side. And that's because he favors that changeup of his that he throws to right-handers. It has better fadeaway action when he moves way over there. I mean, he moves about as far as you possibly can over there. That was a rule they changed about, I think, about 2 or 3 years ago in baseball. Only part of your foot has to be in contact with the rubber. It used to be, the rule book stated that the entire foot had to be in contact with the pitching rubber. And pitchers began to push the envelope a little bit, and they pushed their feet off, and umpires got tired of trying to enforce it because sometimes the mound is covered with dirt. So they changed the rule.
Peralta, 1 hopper. He'll throw out Suarez. So the ground ball pitcher gets his 3rd ground ball out of this game. And deal now with Joey Votto. Talked about Votto being 4 for 4. His last 4 at bats being hits against Garcia. He had that single to left his first time, so 5 for his last 5. At .315 average coming into the day, 7th in the National League.
Now, everybody tries it. Not everybody is successful. That is, when you get ahead of Joey Votto, you try to pound that fastball inside. We saw him pull a ball down the right field line yesterday, a rarity.
Swings and misses here. That for Garcia. Strikeout number 4. He's now retired 8 in a row. led by Joe Ross of the Washington Nationals, the fellow the Reds have not faced. Here's Lamb so far tonight. He's amassed 4 of them. Carpenter and Pham to get the game started. Peralta and Grichuk in the second inning. Averaging over a strikeout an inning thus far for John Lamb. 2 innings in today, 39 innings and 46 strikeouts in the big leagues this year.
Yeah, to be on that list is kind of unusual, really, because the other guys that we showed, Syndergaard and Lance McCullers, Joe Ross, especially Syndergaard and Ross, or McCullers, extremely hard throwers. Syndergaard averages about 98, so you figured he'd have a lot of strikeouts, but you just like the whole package together with John Lamb. I mean, he throws it as slow as 66, as high as about 93, 94, although he pitches around 91. And it's plenty.
And he's athletic. Got up the ladder there to get that ball tapped off the bat of Colton Wong. For out number 1.
I think the one thing that it's kind of an intangible on a pitcher, we've got to know John Lamb a little bit from talking to him, and he has this, I guess he projects the feeling that he belongs here. He's not scared. He doesn't think it's a fluke that he's been called up to the major leagues, and the only reason he is because he's pitching on a team that's, you know, out of the playoff contention.
Bruce to this ball as he nears the line, and there are quickly 2 men out. Yeah, the most popular way to follow the action of Reds baseball is with MLB.com at bat, the #1 app for live baseball. Enjoy live look-ins, highlights, replay reviews, scores, StatCast, live radio broadcast, and more. That's MLB.com at bat app right now. Lamb looks for his 3rd perfect inning. He gets Jaime Garcia, who has only 3 hits this year and a career average of 142. Talking about Lamb averaging over a strikeout an inning up here. He did the same thing in his AAA numbers this year, both at Omaha, the Royals organization, and Louisville with the Reds. He had 117 strikeouts, 111 innings down there. So even though he's not a big, strong-looking guy, you, I guess, consider him a strikeout pitcher.
Well, he's still a pretty big guy. I mean, nowadays they make him big, real big, but he's about 6'3".
How about that? 3 for 36 this year for Garcia. Nobody in front of him that reached base yet against Lamb. And he hits that ball out of the reach of Brandon Phillips and on into center for the first Cardinal hit.
Well, this very much like the infield up at Miller Park in Milwaukee. Very fast infield. You put a little overspin on the ball, it'll get through there.
So for the first time, John Lamb will work from the stretch. He got Carpenter on strikes to start the Cardinal first. Talking about the Cardinals and what they have upcoming. After 5-5 10-game road trip, they have 7 consecutive games against sub-500 clubs. These 3 with the Reds and then 4 against Milwaukee, with a magic number of 10 to clinch the division over the Pirates. And now Lamb hits Carpenter. So it looked like it was going to be an easy inning with a pitcher up and 2 out, nobody on. Now it's turned into 2 on, 2 out for Tommy Pham.
I think it's the first one of these that John Lamb has thrown on the night. It's a curveball. I think what Lamb has tried to do is work through the lineup the first time without showing the Cardinals all of his pitches. He hasn't thrown much in the way of a changeup yet. First big slow curveball, and just kind of slipped out of his hand easy. Now you have to bear down to make sure this inning that started out quick doesn't get out of hand.
Pham took a called 3rd strike his first time. been doing a very good job as of late. You see what he's done over the course of the last 10 days, over 400. Right up near 350 the entire month of September after starting the year at AAA Memphis.
Well, that's a nasty pitch right there. That looks like a Jaime Garcia slider. Very quick, sharp breaking, waits to the very end before it breaks, go downward and hard across. I mean, if Pham hits that ball, he's hitting it foul.
Now from 2-0 to 2-2 to Tommy Pham. Garcia out at second, Carpenter at first. Reds run came in the first on an RBI single into right by Brandon Phillips that plated Bourgeois.
Pham is another Cardinal rookie. It seems like they've got an endless supply of them, although he's an older one. He's now 27 years old. Came up for a couple of games last year, but still rookie status this year.
Towards second base. Phillips to the bag, and he just does get there ahead of Carpenter, putting an end to the St. Louis third.
Day. A lot of players have standoffs after the national anthem, and we caught a pretty good one yesterday in Milwaukee. It was John Shelby and Todd Frazier. Now, this was completely impromptu. This is when, after the national anthem, with his hat above his heart, there's John Shelby, both just staring each other down. And in the end, it was Todd Frazier that had to walk away first, despite what you saw there on the screen. It was Frazier that gave in. Now, Frazier was clear out onto the grass while Shelby was right by the dugout, as Frazier will be second to hit in this inning. And I talked to him about it today, and he said, I actually disqualified myself, but I have to give him the win. It was a veteran move by John Shelby, a learning experience for Todd Frazier. He'll be looking to get John Shelby again next year, but it was quite the funny moment.
So there's strategy involved in a stare-off. How about that? Phillips bats first here in the Reds' fourth inning. 1 run, 2 hits, no errors. Cincinnati, no runs, 1 hit, no errors. Cardinals, both teams have stranded a pair thus far.
You could say there's more drama in that standoff than there was in the ball game.
Well, you just wondered. We saw it. We were watching it from upstairs. Who was going to give in? Phillips has his second hit. He's 2 for 2.
Sharply hit again. And I'm not sure if it's just the Reds that have solved Jaime Garcia this year, or he's beginning to get a little bit flat with his pitches. Now, the Reds have only scored 1 run off of him. I mean, it's not like they're knocking him all over the ballpark, but the guy's a quality pitcher. And he's used to putting him down 1, 2, 3.
Leadoff men on, second time in the game. Now here's Frazier. The stare-off king of the Reds.
Well, you can see why he may not like the starting assignment against the Reds this year. He is 0-2 with an earned run average almost up to 8. The rest of the league, 9-2, and a superlative kind of year Garcia has going.
They get an out at second. They get another one at first. Broken bat double play goes around the horn. 5-4-3. Carpenter to Wong to Piscotty. Bruce will bat with the bases empty, 2 out.
Well, you talk about getting in your kitchen. This is what a little cutter can do when you have control of it. And he does right in on the hands of Frazier. Good concentration by Carpenter. And Todd's been up twice, has made 3 outs. Oh, that was a shatter bat on the end. I thought he got it in on his hands there.
Bruce flied to right to end the first. Hits the first pitch here to left. Grichuk will handle this. That's a 3-batter inning despite the hit by the Reds by Garcia. Ford dealer. Ford, go further. By Meyer. Find more for a healthier you at Meyer. And by Cincinnati Children's, ranking 3rd in the country on U.S. News and World Report's Best Children's Hospital. Gateway Arch. In the offing there across the mighty Mississippi. So far, so good for the Reds. That run on the first is standing up against this Cardinal club. Hayward, Peralta, Piscotty, 3-4-5 in the batting order of Mike Matheny. 4 years he's been the skipper of this Cardinal club, Matheny. 4 years in a row now he will take them into the postseason. This is the 5th year overall in a row that the Cardinals have gone to the postseason, winning the World Series, of course, back in 2011 over the Texas Rangers. They've had quite a run of postseason berths. This marks the 12th time that they've been in the postseason in the last 16 years. World Series titles in 06 and 2011. Beat the Tigers in 06, beat the Rangers in 11.
Well, a lot of times 90 wins will get you there. They've had 90 wins 4 of the last 5 seasons, the Cardinals have. But they've also gone the wild card route.
Yeah, they played in that first wild card game in 12. Remember, that's the infamous infield fly rule game down in Atlanta. And the ball went into the outfield.
Called infield fly.
Controversial, to say the least. First 3-ball count Lamb has had tonight, and now he walks Hayward. The leadoff man on for the first time in this game for St. Louis. Time now for you to tweet your strongest fan photo our way. As always, use hashtag #OhioDataStrongFan. Just might see yourself in an upcoming broadcast brought to you by T-Mobile. We're looking for tonight's Data Strong fan of the game. Let's see what you have. Here's Johnny Peralta. Peralta, the former Tiger, former Indian. Second year now with the Cardinals. All-Star this year. 1 of 5 on this Cardinal club. Pulled that outside pitch, and it hangs up for Adam Duvall out in left field.
Looked like he put a better swing on it than it actually ended up. Got out in front of it a little bit. You know, you see that with Lamb. I mean, well, I see a lot of times when you're looking at a young pitcher, you can look at the radar gun, yeah, and you can look at all the statistics of pitch FX and how much, you know, your breaking ball spins and what the vertical break is and a horizontal break and so on. But I mean, it also helps to look at the hitters and see whether they really look comfortable in their hitting off of you, whether they see the ball. Is he getting awkward swings? Those are the kind of things that I guess pass the eyeball test. And I think Lamb, from that respect, does that.
Here's Piscotty. Drove that ball into the right field corner his first time, but Bruce made a very nice play running it down. This is another guy. You were talking about Tommy Pham earlier. You talked about Randall Grichuk. Stephen Piscotty forced into action because of injuries.
Well, he's a young guy. I mean, Pham is 27. Piscotty is 24. And he has made his major league debut this year, and he's having a pretty good run of it. I guess sometimes you really never know till you get him up here and you let him swing the bat a little bit.
Their main guy at first base, Adams, went down early with an injury. Went down at the end of May with a right quad strain, and he was just activated, what, a week and a half or so ago, and they have tried Mark Reynolds over there. Brandon Moss has played over there. Piscotty, who had never played first base before, they said, hey, big guy, how about playing first base? And he jumped in there at first. Even though Adams has been active for about 10 days, he's made only a couple of starts. take their time with him, as you had talked about earlier, getting these guys healthy for the postseason, which is 2 weeks away.
That's a great at bat for Lamb, because early in the at bat I think he set the stage for that fastball. He had Piscotty swinging at a changeup on the very first pitch, and that's not a fastball, that's actually a cutter. You know, his cutter and slider are the same pitch, but they do different things. Sometimes he'll get underneath it like he does there and he runs it up. Other times he stays on top of it and runs down and in.
Now Lamb is an out away from hanging a 4th 0 in this game and wasting a leadoff walk to Hayward. Bruce was playing that way, and Bruce gets to that line drive by Randall Grichuk. And a nice comeback by John Lamb here in the bottom of the 4th.
Just 18 days away in the home of the Blue Jackets, Fox Sports Ohio. And speaking of hockey, this is St. Louis Blues night here. Check out the Cardinals and their pregame warm-up duds with the St. Louis Blues logo on there. Pretty good look. And some members of the St. Louis Blues were here tonight. They were introduced before the game to a rousing ovation. And here they are, your current St. Louis Blues. And it will not be long before they drop the puck at Scott Trade Center. And the Blues have returned the favor. It's all about civic pride here in St. Louis. The Blues have donned the Cardinals logo as well. That was the beginning of the season prior for the St. Louis Blues. So some cool stuff before the game, boys.
In the air left field off the bat of Duvall, and it's going to be handled, so 1 pitch, 1 out here. I kind of like that exchange of pleasantries there.
I do too, and it may not work in Cincinnati because the Blue Jackets are in Columbus, but it would be perfect to see, you know, a little interaction between the Bengals and the Reds, and especially now that the Bengals are 2-0, they'll be down playing the Baltimore Ravens next week on the road.
I think there has been Blue Jackets night at the ballpark.
We've had Andy Dalton out, I think, hit batting practice last year, I think.
Yeah, there's some interaction between the Reds and the Bengals, that's for certain.
And, of course, now we've got the old retired old-timer quarterback Kenny Anderson finally on Twitter. The Ken Anderson QB, that maybe he can work the end around and get that working.
I think Jim Day did an interview with one of the Blue Jackets players early this year. Didn't you, Jim? Ryan Johansson. That right? Ryan Johansson. I like that logo of the Blues. I think it's one of the better ones. Blue Note. I mean, the name itself, the St. Louis Blues. Great name, great logo. So there's a mixture of it right there. Blues Note, the Cardinal Bird, the same shirt. Their arena is what, just a couple of blocks down the street from here?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you're an Illinois guy, right? Or
right. Illinois.
Missouri, okay.
Illinois.
So did you have a hockey favorite growing up?
I would probably say if I cheered for anybody, it was the Blues. Yeah.
Oh, good.
Been to a couple of games at the old Checker Dome. Remember the old Checker Dome here in St. Louis?
I do not.
It was out there on Highway 40. Yeah. Headed out west of town. Oh, the Checker Dome. Been gone for a long time. I think the arena now is called the Scott Trade Center. Is that right? Just a couple of blocks. Yeah.
Right off the subway line. That you took the train for the first time ever to the ballpark today. Congratulations on your final coming around to public transit.
The Metro. Took the Metro. How about that?
All by yourself.
All by myself.
You should get like a little gold star.
I had a note pinned to my shirt in case I got lost.
Please return to Jim Day.
That's exactly what it said. It said, please return him to the Break and Egg restaurant on Forsyth. Lamb going to be thrown out. That's the third 1-2-3 inning now in the last four, turned in by Jaime Garcia. The Reds get home on Thursday against the New York Mets. The home run target is getting a whole lot bigger. Instead of a Reds player having to hit the Toyota hit and win sign, the first Reds player to hit a home run into the sun/moon deck seats will win the new Tundra that's been on display all year for a fan chosen for that game. You can register at your Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Toyota dealers. Chances to win the truck just got a whole lot better. That starts on Thursday against the Mets. Talk about a big target. The sun and moon deck stretches from the right field corner all the way out towards center field. Colton Wong getting things started here in the bottom of the 5th. Slaps it to third. Frazier was in on the edge of the grass. He's able to make that play. And good defensive alignment there. Retires Wong.
Well, so far so easy for John Lamb. Of course, it's easy to say when we're sitting up here in the third deck or you're sitting at home watching it on TV. But he is making it look easy. He's given up only 1 hit. He's only thrown about 52 or 53 pitches on the night. In fact, if he could get through this inning scoreless, the Reds will have total 27 scoreless innings in a row against the Cardinals here at Busch Stadium. Of course, the last time here they left on a good note of back-to-back shutouts.
Yeah, that was back at the end of July when they had not won a series over here in what, almost 5 years. Finally won that one 2 out of 3 and then took 3 out of 4 at home recently. Last time they won a season series against the Cardinals was 2011, so it's been a few years. Cruz fly to right his first time. Slaps this one by the diving Joey Votto and on into right. So the 2 hits the Cardinals have come out of their backup catcher Tony Cruz, starting the game at only 173, and their pitcher who's coming to the plate now, Jaime Garcia.
Now, Cruz hit a fly ball to right field the first time. I thought he was just late, but maybe he's trying to go that way. Joey Votto playing way off the bag right there and nearly is in position to have it.
In case you missed the news earlier, Yadier Molina, you probably heard about it or saw it if you follow baseball at all. That thumb injury that occurred to Molina yesterday in the game at Chicago on a throw home. In the air, and Frazier got it, but nowhere to throw to first. Todd almost slipped and fell down, it looked like, on that. Here's what we're talking about with Molina. Last 2 years with and without him, stolen bases against him and others.
You know, with most position players in baseball, the with and without statistics are throwaways. It may, except for the exception like a Barry Bonds type or something. But I mean, Molina almost puts himself in that category as value to the Cardinals. Not statistically. You certainly can't measure his value only through numbers, but he brings a lot more. In fact, even with a torn ligament in his thumb, Mike Matheny tried to take him out of the ball game, and he said it took a lot of talking to finally get him convinced to take himself out of the game. He had finished the inning. He had 1/3 of an inning to wait, and he finished the inning before he took himself out finally for the night.
Carpenter lofts one into right field, so for the first time since the 3rd, the Cardinals have 2 on in the same inning, 2 on with 2 out. Tommy Pham, who had the at-bat with runners in scoring position back in the 3rd, will have it here again in the 5th.
Now, John Lamb may want to try a different pitch against Matt Carpenter than the last 2 curveballs that he has thrown. One hit Carpenter, gave him first base. The last one, he kind of hung right there and ripped it into right field. He struck him out the first time on a fastball.
More often than not, through the first 7 starts that John Lamb has made, 1 inning has kind of done him in. He's pitched very well, and that 1 inning will hurt him, Chris.
Yeah, and in some cases it's 1 swing of the bat, as it was in his major league debut in LA when Adrian Gonzalez took him deep for a 3-run bomb.
To Frazier, short way, and they get the force out at second base on Carpenter. And a nice job again, turned in. 5 shutout innings for Lamb. continues to be your home for postseason action with the American League Division and Championship Series. Don't miss a moment of the drama and the history. It all begins October the 8th on FS1 and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. These Cardinals will be in for the 5th consecutive year. Reds, unfortunately, will not be in postseason play this year. Good pitchers matchup here tonight. Couple of southpaws. Garcia, the winner of 51 big league games over the course of 7 years. John Lamb, the winner of 1 in his rookie year, and it came against this Cardinal club back at home 11 days ago. Top of the order for the Reds here in the 6th. Bourgeois has walked and scored the game's only run. Hit it hard and lined out to Peralta's last time.
Well, I guess I couldn't have been more wrong when sizing up Garcia in the first inning. It looked like he was going to have an off night. The Reds were centering the ball. He had trouble throwing strikes. But he has come back now and really retired the Reds on 3 batters in each of the last 4 innings. Just goes to show you, I mean, a veteran pitcher, really quality pitcher like that, they make adjustments. And sometimes the first inning is the toughest inning to get through. And it was tonight for Garcia. I mean, there's a reason why this guy is 20 games over 500. And he only has 82 decisions lifetime.
Down goes Bourgeois on strikes. That's number 5 for Garcia. Nine is his season high. That came 3 starts ago here against the Pirates. Had a streak of 8 in a row broken when Phillips had the hit. Now he's retired 6 more in a row. So 14 of the last 15 set down by this 29-year-old native of Mexico who grew up in Mission, Texas, border town between Texas and Mexico.
You know, Garcia answers the question, when does a 90-mile-an-hour fastball look like a 95-mile-an-hour fastball? A short arm delivery. Hitters are late on it often. And he gets absolutely most out of what he's got. And if you notice, most of the pitches that he misses with are either missed down in the dirt or straight up, but a lot of them have the cylinder of the plate. If you throw a pitch that's high and outside, it never looks like a strike to the hitter. So it's a complete waste pitch. But if you throw it high, but it has the plate, it may look like, for a fraction of a second, a strike to the hitter. So you may get a swing and a miss or a swing and a pop-up. They'll have Garcia again next year, too. They've got an option on his contract for 2016. And another, I believe, might be a mutual option for 2017.
Down the left field line off the bat of Suarez. That's going to drop for a hit. He's going to keep on motoring. Head to second, and he's out.
Overslid the bag.
Well, he never slowed down coming around first. It looked like, as you said, he had it, but he overslid the second base bag.
Well, we've talked about it. Randall Grichuk is in left field. He's got a terrible elbow problem, and he can't really throw. So the scouting report is before tonight, if you hit something to left field, even if it's a routine base hit, you take advantage of it. And you see he just went so hard into the bag that he overslid the bag, and Colton Wong kept the tag on.
Safe initially, then lost contact. Wong did a good job of staying there.
Grichuk, I mean, he can't throw. And in fact, he was instructed, don't throw. it was great progress for Grichuk just the other day when he went out and he made some throws as far as 90 feet. So they don't think that he can re-injure his arm anymore. They don't really know what the long-term prognosis is. But in the meantime, he can hit. And that's why that infielder will go way out there to get that relay.
They need a string of about 2 weeks worth of games against American League opponents, don't they?
Well, yeah, they do for a DH purpose. When he first had that injury, they put him in a game against the Pittsburgh Pirates, and he was instructed to do nothing but underhand the ball to the relay man, and the Pirates ran wild on him.
So the corner outfielders then, on any ball hit toward center, left or right center, had to come and get right next to him to get the ball to throw it in. Joey's 5 hits in his last 5 at bats against Garcia. Came to an end his last time when he struck out. That was in the 3rd. Still tremendous numbers against the Cardinals. And he draws the walk, and that is a new record setter for Joey Votto and for the Reds organization. The 136th walk of the year for Joey Votto. There's the new mark. The old one he set 2 years ago with 135. He broke a long-standing record, 38-year record of Joe Morgan, who walked 132 times back in his MVP year of 75. Now 136 walks. You wonder what the all-time single season walks record is. Something that Votto's not going to get to.
Is it Barry Bonds or Babe Ruth?
Barry Bonds walked 232 times in 2004. To the mound. And the inning is over. Reds lead their second. They'll lead 1-0. Against the Cardinals so far this year, 2 starts, no runs, 11 Ks, and 10 innings worth of work. Unique approach there to getting the ball from Todd Frazier to start the inning, to say the least.
It's a little bit of superstition for Lamb. Jim Day had explained it before on that, but at the end of every inning, or at the beginning of every inning, when you throw the baseball around the horn, the pitcher gets it back. Normally the third baseman flips it to him. Well, he gets out of the catcher squat. Relieve some of the tension that way.
Wasn't there something about Brandon Phillips in first base also that we showed the other day? He likes the first ball to him thrown or something versus being put on the ground.
That's right. See, what normal happens is that the first baseman takes a ball out, and during innings, while the pitcher's warming up, he throws ground balls around the infield. But the first throw to Brandon has to be in the air, not in the dirt.
Or he'll let it go by.
Right. And you know what? In all these years, I never noticed that until we saw that written somewhere.
It was when it was the other night, I think, when Duvall, Jim Day mentioned it, is when Duvall started at first base on Friday in Milwaukee due to the Votto suspension.
Well, now I know why Jason Hayward called timeout, because he didn't want his bat to end that quick. He wanted just a few moments more. He got back in that batter's box and took call strike 3 out of that fastball from John Lamb.
How about Lamb? 6 of them now in terms of strikeouts. He had 8 in his second start. He also had 8 in his start against Milwaukee. And what about the distribution of outs so far by Lamb?
Very democratic.
Equal out distributor so far. Peralta struck out and flied out. Lamb can get through this inning, and he's 1/3 of the way there. He would equal his longest start in the big leagues. He's done it twice at the Dodgers in his big league debut back on the 14th of August, and at Milwaukee on the 30th of August. Here he is against the Cardinals. It's a base hit. Hit number 4 for St. Louis. Tying on the board for Stephen Piscotty. Cardinals went down the first 8 batters. Threatened with 2 on, 2 out in the 3rd. Pham hit into a ground out. Leadoff man in the 4th. Next 3 retired. 2 on, 2 out in the 5th. Pham again hits into a force out. Now 1 on, 1 out here in the bottom of the 6th. Scotty 0 for 2. He's flied out. He has struck out. Former #1 pick by the Cardinals out of Stanford.
Well, John Lamb may not have the greatest move to first base, but right now he's got Peralta moving back to the bag when he lifts his leg up.
Popped him up and playable. Ball Votto, and Votto makes the catch. And it looked like he almost slipped over there when he hit the edge with the grass and the warning track area. So Lamb now an out away from 6 shutout innings. Standing in his way, Randall Grichuk, the left fielder. Getting the start tonight, but he did not start a game on the road trip, a 10-game trip that went through Cincinnati, Milwaukee, and Chicago. Did not make a start, but he's out there tonight. Shoulder hampering his game. Sorry, I said shoulder. Chris points out elbow. Thank you, Chris. Colton Wong waits on deck. Hits are even at 4. The first inning run of the Reds still holding up. 2-2. Broken bat towards center. Phillips is going to get to the spot, and he makes the catch. And John Lamb works around to hit in the 6th, and he has 6 shutout innings. Brandon Phillips in the right field. Scored Bourgeois, who had walked, moved up on a wild pitch, and a base hit by Votto. Then touched the plate on that. Other than that, it's been all John Lamb. Retired the first 8 he faced. Worked out of a jam in the 3rd. Worked out of a jam in the 5th. Worked around a leadoff hit in the 6th. 6 innings of no run, 4 hit, 1 walk baseball thus far. That's tonight's Honda game summary. A 1-0 Reds lead.
Well, we've been waiting for this type of a breakout game for John Lamb. You mentioned it earlier, Jim, where it seems like every one of his previous starts there's been a blemish, even if it's only 1 inning or maybe 1 bad pitch. But tonight he has been extraordinarily efficient and clings to a very slim lead. Maybe the Reds can get him a couple of breathing room runs.
Nice to see that battery sitting together in there. Cabrera just leaned over, but catcher Cabrera, pitcher Lamb sitting together talking about what's happened so far through the first 6.
When you're pitching like he does, you don't need much talking.
Mark Reynolds has taken over at first base for St. Louis. Piscotty has moved to left, and Grichuk is out of the game. Frazier leads it off here in inning number 7.
That's their way of making a defensive change right there. They wanted to get Grichuk, and he just made the last out. Last inning. And they wanted to get him 3 at-bats tonight to see if he could do some damage with the bat. But late in the ball game, that's when you start putting your good defense in there, especially when you're in a 1-run game, either up or down by 1.
And Frazier leads things off here in the 7th with a base hit. Gets struck out, hit into a double play. The Reds get the leadoff man on for the 3rd time in the game, and that's hit number 5.
Now that would have been an opportunity right there for Frazier, and he knew that Piscotty was now in left field. I'm sure they told him when he got to the on-deck circle that he may have tried to go to second base. And it's a perfect example why you want to get that guy out of there. Grichuk, who can't throw, Piscotty in, who plays a normal left field, and ball finds you right away.
Here's Bruce. Flied out to right, flied out to left. Got under it and pops it up. Long, the second baseman will make the play. Bruce is retired. Batter will be Adam Duvall. The ball is grounded out and flied out. Fourth start of the road trip for Duvall. 3 of those 4 coming out in left field. He did start at first base on Friday in Milwaukee when Joey Votto was serving that suspension. Trying to get a good look at this young man who's now 2 for 16 on the road trip. Started the day at 179. Part of the Marlon Bird trade with the Giants. Hits this ball hard down the left field line. It's going to hook foul. Duvall, of course, had the big home run at home against the Cardinals on that Saturday, the 12th of September, when the game from Friday night was suspended due to the bad weather, rain, lightning, thunder, and etc. They finished it on Saturday before the regularly scheduled game, and it was Duvall who had the home run, the 2-run shot in the bottom of the 8th inning against the former Red Jonathan Broxton. Broke the 2-2 tie, gave the Reds a 4-2 lead, and went on to win by that score. Kirk Badenhop, righty, Manny Parra, lefty, now throwing in the Reds bullpen beyond the left center field wall. Almost threw it away.
You know, Adam Duvall might be a real interesting piece as you look forward. Maybe not as a starting left fielder, at least not yet, but to have the kind of power that he has on your bench just in case. I mean, that is if he makes a case enough for himself here between now and the end of the year to show that he can negotiate big league pitching. But he has got a lot of power.
Got under this one.
I mean, he just missed that baby.
Piscotty makes the catch. Runner tagging and trying to go to second, and Frazier is out. They lobbed the ball in, and Todd thought he'd take advantage, but he is out with Wong putting on the tag. Stretch time in St. Louis. Take a look at it. Second to end the top of the seventh. Let's take another look at it.
Well, it was an easy fly ball, and Todd is just trying to pick the pocket of the Cardinals. I mean, that's without sounding too corny. Might be something the Cardinals would try to do. The Cardinal book, if you want to call it that. Take advantage of the opposition, a little nonchalant. But that throw happened to be on the money. I don't mind that play at all.
Shows to me, his head is in the game, trying to do what he can, try to do the little things.
In fact, it may have kept John Lamb in the game, because if Cabrera came up, he was the next scheduled hitter and got a base hit. They probably would have pinch hit for John Lamb with the guys up in the bullpen that are throwing and continue to throw.
Lamb starts this the seventh, having thrown 80 pitches thus far. Gets Wong to lead it off.
I'll tell you, both of these left-handed pitchers tonight are throwing fastballs that are anywhere from 88 to 91. And they just don't seem to be throwing them as fast as they look like they're throwing. They're deceiving. That's a hanger. Bye-bye.
Bruce near the wall, jumps up, and oh, he didn't get it, and it didn't go out. He'll spin and get it back in. Turns out to be a double for Wong.
Boy, I thought that ball was crushed. Maybe missed it a little bit on the edge. It looked like a slider that Wong got up in the air, and he's got plenty of power. But Bruce nearly pulls this back. Well, you get out near that wall right there, and you're trying to feel for the wall. You're not exactly sure how far it is away from you. Bruce tried to get back as quickly as he could, but that ball was hit more on a line than it was a high fly ball, and you can see that he's angry, because if he makes that catch, Lamb is still in the ball game. But an excellent job by the Reds left-hander tonight through 6+.
Reds make a pitching change after the double by Wong, his 26th. Lamb is out. And a new man, Burke Badenhop, is in. This is our Skyline Chili call to the bullpen. After the double by Colton Wong, but his numbers for this game very impressive. Easily the best he has turned in this year, Chris.
Well, no doubt about it, and he did it under tough circumstances here. Full house at Busch Stadium, independent race the Cardinals are, and he came up and matched Jaime Garcia 0 for 0. In fact, he leaves the ball game leading 1-0. So if the Reds bullpen could do the job, starting with Burke Badenhop, they may be able to strand that runner out of second base. The good news is that they're down at the bottom of the order now. The number 8 hitter, Cruz, is coming up, and then a pinch hitter for the pitcher. So you have a chance to get out of this without facing the best hitters in the lineup.
Badenhop last worked on Saturday in Milwaukee. 1/3 of an inning, no runs, 1 hit. Works for the 4th time on the road trip.
Choices here for Mike Matheny are get Tony Cruz to lay a bunt down, or get that runner to third base, or let him take a swat at hitting the ball to the right side and get that runner over to third, maybe getting him in on a base hit. Both at bats for Cruz, he's hit the ball to the right side.
Matt Adams waits on deck as a pinch hitter. Broxton has been throwing in the Cardinal bullpen. Late bunt attempt there by Cruz.
I guess the strategy there by Matheny was, we're going to give you 1 strike. And if you see a pitch you like to hit the other way, you go ahead and do it. But once he got a strike on him, he said, all right, now we really need that runner at third base. Reynoldsburg, Ohio's finest right there. Even though he did go to that school up north.
That which shall not be named.
That's how you talk about it.
Manny Parr continues to throw in the Reds bullpen, and again Matt Adams is on deck to pinch hit for Garcia. This figures to be a 1-batter appearance for Badenhop. Tying run at second, Wong with nobody out. Hang up for Bourgeois or Bruce. It's Jay who makes the catch. They're going to test his arm. Here's the throw. Safe is the call at third. Todd put a slap tag down on the hand of Wong as he went in there head first.
Well, there's 2 things the Reds will probably do. Number one, they're going to try to look, and if they've called timeout, it's too late to do it, to have a continuous appeal. But did he leave early is the first question. The second question is, did Frazier get him on the tag? I mean, even that replay looks like he's safe. I don't know. He's leaving too early. Is that one of the reviewable?
Actually, that is the old. That's still an old rule. Is not affected by the new replay rules. That's simply, you simply look at that as you used to years ago. Now out comes Brian Price to talk with Tony Randazzo.
Well, this looks more like a double switch than it does an appeal question.
Yeah, the appeal process is not part of the challenge process. So they do not see if the runner left early at second. There is no challenge by the Reds. Here's another look at it.
That looks like he would have been called safe. The tough part about that is that Wong is probably the speediest of the Cardinals.
That's great camera work right there. Double switch employed by the Reds. Manny Parra will enter the game. Kip Schumacher, the former Cardinal, will go on out to left field. We'll come back with more baseball after this. in the on-deck circle. And now it's going to be Matt Holliday, so you assume that the Reds waited until Adams was announced, and so he is now burned.
Well, it's all about matchup at this point in the game, obviously, and especially when this point of the season when you've got an expanded roster. Schumacher goes to left. He got a big round of applause when he went out there. He was much loved by Cardinal fans while he was here for a few years. But it will be Matt Holliday and not Matt Adams, the right-handed power hitter coming up the infield end, and the game on the line.
Parra against Holliday. This guy has spent a lot of time on the disabled list this year. A couple of times for Holliday with a quad strain. Most recently when the Reds were here in late July. He missed 41 games in that stint. 65 games this year due to a right quad injury. Late on that one. What happens when he comes off the disabled list? And he was activated. Was Holliday on the 15th a week ago in his second at bat, a pinch hit appearance. He gets hit in the head up in Chicago.
Guy's a run producer. Really good back-to-back pitches there for Parra. One a fastball that he snuck right by Holliday and then pulled the string on that changeup. So he has Holliday late on his heater and ahead on his changeup. That's a good spot to be in for a pitcher. You can expand the zone a little bit, but Cabrera's got to be on notice to block anything.
He is tied up there, and that's a big strikeout for Parra off Matt Holliday for the second out of the inning.
Well, we'll call this our flamethrower, brought to you by Cholula Hot Sauce. It comes in at 92 and simply overwhelms Matt Holliday. That didn't take long. Great at bat for Parra.
Top of the order now at Matt Carpenter. Wong is at third. He represents the tying run. He's also the first Cardinal to reach third base in this game. Carpenter 3 for 14 lifetime against Manny Parra. Carpenter trying to bring Wong home from third. Wong started the inning with a double off the right field wall, almost caught by Bruce. Moved up to third on a fly ball to right by Tony Cruz, in which Wong was almost thrown out at third. A close play. Pinch hitter Holliday struck out. Carpenter up there now. He was at 2-0. Now he's at 2-2. should end the inning. Bourgeois settles under it. Inning over. Nice job. Manny Parr strikes out Holiday. Gets Carpenter on the fly ball. 29 straight shutout innings by Reds pitching against the Cardinals here in St. Louis. As we highlighted when we went to break, 29 straight innings for Reds pitching of shutout baseball here in St. Louis against the Cardinals. Mighty impressive.
Well, especially given the fact that you've only got a one-run margin in this ball game. Excellent job by Manny Parr. I mean, terrific job by Parr to strand the runner at third base after getting a one out.
Now the new pitcher on, the former Red, Jonathan Broxton. Made his way around the National League Central Division here in the last 2 years, hasn't he?
Yeah, he really has. Got originally started in Kansas City and then in Los Angeles and then Kansas City, of course the Reds, Milwaukee, now St. Louis. He's been good and bad with the Cardinals. He's coming off a rough outing in which he did not retire a batter, walked a couple of them to load the bases up.
Gets the strikeout of Cabrera to start the 8th inning.
And when he has had his problems, control has been the issue.
The happy John Lamb, 84 pitches in the game. 6 innings plus a batter, no runs, 5 hits, a walk, 6 strikeouts. Another round of applause for Skip Schumacher. We appreciate the hard work that he has put in here as a Cardinal for many years, including part of that 2011 World Title team. The chance for Schumacher to add to his pinch hit total. He has 18 of them this year. That's the most in the big leagues. Closing in on the Reds franchise record of 20, set 10 years ago by Jacob Cruz. Had a very good road trip thus far. Reds 8th inning man, J.J. Hoover, is up and throwing. JJ. Broxton traded twice within the year. He was traded August 31st of last year by the Reds to the Brewers. Foul ball. He was traded trading deadline day 31st of July this year by the Brewers to the Cardinals. From the big leagues, he's worked, as Chris mentioned, for the Dodgers, the Royals, the Reds, the Brewers, and now the Cardinals. .85. Chris is talking about up and down.
Yeah, still a very difficult and inaccurate way of judging a reliever is by that earned run average. There's so many other barometers. And of course, if you have a good earned run average, you lead with that. If you have a bad earned run average, you lead with something else, like how many runners you came in with and didn't score, how many holds you may have been able to put together.
Schumacher just wasting borderline pitches, trying to get something he can hit. It's Fan Appreciation Day coming up the ballpark. It's this Sunday against the New York Mets. Lucky fans in attendance will win prizes throughout the game. Plus, the first 20,000 will receive a 2015 Reds team photo thanks to Snickers and Kroger. For tickets, 513-381-REDS. You can visit select Kroger locations, or you can go to Reds.com/tickets. Postcard entries accepted. Some Reds fans over here in Cardinal Red country. Bourgeois with 2 out. Reynolds dives for it, cannot get it. Slithers on out into right field. Second time Bourgeois has been on, gets a hit. So Jason now modest 4-game hitting streak. He's on with 2 out.
Well, I mean, the idea is to get on base, and he has been on a couple of times. Bourgeois gets his ball off the glove of the first baseman. This is a night where base runners are tough to come by. The question is, though, will he get the green light and maybe try to steal a bag right here?
Suarez is 1 for 3, had a double, pardon me, a single this last time. Remember, he tried to stretch that into a double. Was thrown out. Piscotty to Peralta to Wong. Reynolds holds Bourgeois. Reds, despite the fact that Billy Hamilton has been out over a month, still atop the Major League stolen base list. Coming into this game with 131 of them. Keeping an eye on that individual stolen base count. Billy finished second last year, remember, to D. Gordon. Billy has 57 stolen bases now. D. Gordon has 53. Billy has only had 1 in basically a month. When he was a pinch runner in San Francisco. Remember, he was called out on that stolen base attempt, only to have the Reds challenge it and have the call overturned. Foul. Started to go, held up, took a ball. Hoover continuing to throw, but he appears ready in the Cincinnati bullpen. Runner going, ball hit to right. And Hayward handles it. So Jonathan Broxton does the job in the top of the 8th.
And after Cowboys quarterback Tony Romo went down yesterday, is another NFL superstar set to miss a big chunk of the season. Catch Fox Sports Live on Fox Sports 1 and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. I'm Jim Day. You've seen Billy Hamilton in the Reds dugout. He returned to the club today after returning to Cincinnati to get an MRI on his shoulder, his non-throwing shoulder. And the Reds have a decision to make, and in fact, I believe they have made it. Walt Jocketty will talk to us on the post-game show after the game about Hamilton. Now, they got some choices. One, they've talked about using Billy strictly as just a pinch runner the rest of the season. They could just completely shut him down, his first pitch swinging, and that one will go to the wall. And surgery is also an option, guys. We'll talk about more coming up.
Now, first pitch swing against Hoover. Pham ends up at third. Bourgeois bobbled that ball momentarily in picking it up. Not sure if Pham was going to stop at second anyway, but now with the second inning in a row, the Cardinals have a runner at third.
Well, that's triple country out there, and Pham can run a little bit. He just tees off on that pitch by J.J. Hoover. And maybe it was that extra grab by, but I don't think he even had a look at. And he goes all the way into third. At this point, who cares whether it's a triple or a double on an error?
They did call that a triple. Now Hayward bats with the tying run at third. Well, 5 triples now for Tommy Pham. You mentioned he's got some wheels. Off the glove of the pitcher. Pham's going to stay put, and Phillips makes the play. That's a 1-4-3 put out. Good reaction by Brandon Phillips.
And great reaction by J.J. Hoover. He threw his glove out there, and he slowed it down just enough for Phillips to be able to get to it. If Hoover doesn't touch that ball, that's a single up the middle. Well, the Reds have already done the magic act with Manny Parra stranding a runner at third, less than 2. Now J.J. Hoover's turn. The difference here is that Hoover has the middle of the lineup to work through. Chapman is up and rolling in the bullpen.
J.J. appeared 69 times 2 years ago. That's a career high. This is number 66 for him this year. He's been busy. Peralta hit his last time. And a hit this time to tie the game.
Three solidly struck balls in this inning. One has gone for an out, one has gone for a triple, and that's a run-scoring single.
The Cardinals had been 0 for 6 with runners in scoring position tonight until that solid single in the right by Peralta.
Now, the oddity of this situation is that you have the closer from each respective team up and throwing right now. Although I'm not sure why Aroldis Chapman is up and throwing if he wouldn't be used in the 8th inning.
Piscotty unloads on one. Left center field. Off the wall. Play at the plate. To third, no throw.
I'm not sure how this ball stayed in the ballpark. I mean, it was crushed. Goes off the wall, perfectly played by Schumacher. A strong throw by Suarez and on the money. But, or close to being on the money, wouldn't have made any difference. Well, at least we know which closer's coming in the game.
Piscotty's RBI is 33rd. He goes to third on the throw home. Still only one out. And 4 hard hit balls this inning against Hoover. Reynolds batting for the first time. He took over at first base for Piscotty, who moved to left, with Grichuk leaving the game. Triple by Pham to right center. Hard hit ball by Hayward off the glove of the pitcher to Phillips, and the Reds get an out. Solid single to right by Peralta. Scorching double by Piscotty. And now 3-1 to Reynolds. Playable for Votto. 2 out. Now Colton Wong will bat.
Don't think this guy might not drop a bunt down to the right side here. Infield playing completely back. Now Votto coming in a couple of steps.
Bourgeois there. Bourgeois makes the play to retire the side. But the Cardinals get a pair. Reds will bring up Votto, Phillips, and Frazier in the ninth against Rosenthal. The game, and reminder to tweet your strongest fan photo to hashtag Ohio Data Strong Fan for a chance to be involved in a future broadcast. Brought to you by T-Mobile. Here's tonight's Data Strong fan of the game, Carl, right there in front of the ballpark. Trevor Rosenthal is second in the league to the Pirates' Mark Melancon in saves. He has 46 of them. He will try to save it here for Jonathan Broxton in the top of the ninth inning. He'll get Votto, Phillips, and Frazier. The heart of the Reds order, which is what the Cardinals had coming up in the bottom of the eighth inning. Pete Kozma now in playing shortstop for St. Louis, with Rosenthal entering the game on the mound. Johnny Peralta leaves the game. Pedro Borges goes into center field. Rosenthal against Votto. Joey in the night, 1 for 2 with a walk. 0 for 4 lifetime against Rosenthal.
Now, the Cardinals have been here before, meaning one-run ball games. In fact, they lead the major leagues in the most close ball games played this year.
High strike call, and Votto disagrees with that one from Tony Randazzo.
Here are the numbers we're talking about. They've got as many as the White Sox and the Rays, and they've got more wins than those other teams that play in a lot of one-run games.
Two and 0 to 2 and 2.
Joey asked for timeout there and was granted timeout by Tony Randazzo. The only way you're allowed to leave the batter's box after a called strike is ask for time, so he was granted that time. Tony's been watching the highlights. I got to say that there are probably 50% of the hitters around that swing at that pitch.
Got it.
Well, he may not throw as hard as the Reds reliever, but he has a little bit of a hump on that pitch. And actually, that's an off-speed pitch right there that he gets. And Joey says, wow, wow, wow. A changeup on a 3-2 pitch, and he retires Votto on strikes. Rosenthal, 45 saves last year, gunning for 47 in this ball game tonight.
Yeah, he surpassed his total of a year ago. This is a guy who had a career as a starter in the Cardinal minor leagues, but has never appeared in the big leagues in a game as a starter. 230th career appearance here tonight. Rosenthal trying to tie a single season Cardinal record for saves. And that's a base hit for Brandon. Phillips' third of the night. That's the tying run on with one out. Brandon had 3 hits on Saturday as well. He gets his third one here.
Yeah, this is on a night where hits are hard to come by. That's only the 7th hit overall the Reds have. And Brandon has 3 of them. Carpenter a little bit on the line right there. Now he's going to really be on the line down at third base, opening that hole between third and shortstop. No doubles, because the double would tie this game.
I mean, to tell you, he's practically on top of that line down there. There's another hit into left field, so they'll give up the single. And that's what the Reds get, back-to-back base hits. First Phillips, now Frazier. Tying run at second, go-ahead run at first with one out.
Well, you can see why you'd play the third baseman on the line, because you didn't want a double to tie the game up. But it is always a matter of debate among baseball people whether that's a smart play defensively or not to play the line. Because if he's off the bag right there, that could have been a game-ending double play. That's kind of right where he was. So anyway, the inning extended. Now Jay Bruce with a chance. And this raucous crowd has quieted down quite a bit.
Only 2 blown saves on the year for Rosenthal, the last of which was way back before the All-Star break. In fact, the last day of the first half, July the 12th, when they lost 6-5 at Pittsburgh, thus going into the break with only a 2.5 game lead. Bruce in the air will be the second out. Handled out there by Piscotty. Now the Reds will employ a pinch hitter, Brian Pena, with 2 on, 2 out in the ninth. Again, talking about Rosenthal, gunning for save number 47. If he gets it, he'll tie a single-season Cardinal record. Lee Smith did it back in 1991. Jason Isringhausen in 2004 with 47 saves. And that's what Rosenthal is gunning for here.
Well, they did a pretty good job in scouting Rosenthal. He was a 21st round draft pick. And when the Cardinal scouts saw him, he was playing shortstop. They recommended to the Cardinals they turn him into a pitcher. That's a good move. Now Brandon was trying to distract him out there by taking a big lead at second base. And Tony Cruz, the catcher, just pointed to Rosenthal and said, hey, your eyes are on me right here. We don't care about that guy.
Pena pinch hit 3 times in Milwaukee. Was 0 for 3 on the year as a pinch hitter. He's 4 for 15. But he has been good in close and late game situations this year. After getting ahead now 2-0, Cardinals quickly talk about it. 1 out single by Phillips, another single by Frazier. Bruce flies out to left. Pena hitting for Hoover with a game on the line. A hit would tie it, more likely than not. Extra base hit with Frazier running from first on contact with 2 out. Good, gives the Reds the lead. 2-1. To the shortstop. Cosmo throws out to first. And the Cardinals win the first game of this series. And in doing so, lower their magic number to clinch the Central to at least 9, pending the outcome of the Pirate game. 2-1 the final. The Cardinals get 2 in the bottom of the 8th, and in doing so, snap a string of 29 consecutive innings against the Reds here at Busch, in which they had not scored. They come up with the big hits in the bottom of the 8th. They win it by the score of 2-1. We'll come back with more in a moment.